right, guys. Good afternoon. Sleepy people, I imagine y'all all about ready for a nap about now. I went shopping this morning and I picked up 2 packages of meat, and I want to see how many meals I can make with those 2 packages of meat. Okay, so stay with me and let me get my knife sharp. Okay, this is my first package. $16.97 for this pork tenderloin. And I wonder if this is half the tenderloin, because it would have been that long. That would have been about the size of a 350, 400 pound pig. We're going to have one of those in just a few months. But anyway, what I was trying to get at here, this is $16.97. My lighting in my kitchen is horrible. It's 8.57 pounds, almost 8.5 pounds. At $1.98 a pound. Now, if I got 4 meals out of it, it'd be $4 a meal. But I'm looking for cheaper than that. And let me show you what I'm gonna do. First off, we're gonna have a little bit of meat cutting lesson. I am by no means a professional butcher. My friend that gave me this knife is. And I've been trying to coax him into coming over and helping me butcher a calf or a steer, or whatever you want to call it. But I ain't been able to talk him into it yet. I think maybe it's going to take me having the steer and saying, hey dude, I need you over here now, to get him over here, because it's just like work for him. It's work for him. So anyway, I'm going to cut this in half so I can handle it better. Now, I like a thin cut pork chop. Now, I don't know if you've seen my video on cooking beef tips or not. But in that video, I like the fat. So we're going to leave the fat on it. In that video, you heard me talking about the grain of the meat. Okay, now, the grain of the meat, you can see it in a tenderloin. A tenderloin is a backstrap. Okay, remember that. What they call a tenderloin in the supermarket is what your grandma would have called the backstrap. Okay, they would have took the backstrap straight out of the pig and butchered it whenever they was cutting it. Mine would have. Now, in the generation that hung them in smokehouses and smoked the entire hog, not so much. But the generation before me, my uncles, they would quarter an animal, put it in a cooler, let it sit on ice for a day or two. A pig, not more than 2 days. A deer for 4 days to get all the blood out of the meat, and then they would take it and butcher it. Now, was that what I think it was? Forgive me. I thought that was a worm come out. Okay, in this particular cut of meat, the grain actually runs up and down through here. Okay, and you can tell that they cut this right off the rib. They got awful close to the rib. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay this with the fat side down. You gotta have a sharp knife to do this. Okay, I like a thin pork chop because pork chops swell. Okay, now I'm just trimming that end off to get it square. Look at that, that's a nice, pretty pork chop right there. You can fry that, you can bake it. You could even take one, throw it in a pot of water and boil it. Make you some pork fried rice. I'll leave you a link down below for this knife, for a knife like this. And in all of my videos, you'll find links down in the description to my Amazon page or to Amazon, and this link through my YouTube channel, and at no cost to you, absolutely no cost to you. So you can get you a knife like this. As you can tell, I mean, all of my knives are in this deal. I had a full set of knives at one time, and they got, somehow or another, they got, they were farberware, and they were nice knives. But over the years, I have been collecting butcher knives and stuff like that that I find at junk shops. When I go antiquing, I look for cast iron, I look for old hickory knives, I look for blue glassware, I look for some crazy stuff, 8-track tapes. You just never know what I'm gonna find at a junk shop or antique store that I like. I always thought that I'd like to have an antique store of my own. But I mean, as you can tell, I've already got a big pile of meat there. I've started with a big pile of meat. Now you can take and wrap that whole thing up, cook it in one meal. On the smoker, on the barbecue pit, you can feed lots of people with it. I like these good old pork chops, and since it's just me, in my little family now, I've got my kids raised, and you might say that I'm just a bachelor man, and this right here is going to feed me for a long time. When I buy chicken, I have a daughter-in-law The last time that I bought chicken was in 2020. 2020. I bought 2 large boxes of chicken from her. I bought a box of chicken breast and I bought a box of leg quarters. She works for a chicken processing company, and at that time, I think they've changed policies now. They could get, oh my goodness, it was really cheap. It was really cheap. It was like $30 for a whole box of chicken quarters, and I can't remember how many pounds it was, but it was unreal. And at that point right there, it's just like, well, you don't need to buy anymore. You don't need to buy anymore unless you want something of a different thing. You know, I might buy some wings or something like that. And wings are expensive. It don't matter who you buy them from. They have decided that wings was a delicacy. And they're very expensive, and I hate it. With Hooters being so popular and the Wing House being so popular and chicken wing places, you know, they've just gotten so popular that they drove up the cost of the cheapest cut of chicken that there is. And that would be a good video. I'll show y'all how I used to skin chicken wings at the Wing House. I used to work at the Wing House in Daytona Beach, Florida, and that was my job. I was a prep cook. I skinned chicken wings and made hamburger patties and weighed out stuff and got it all ready for the fry line, and it was just kind of suited me because I liked it, because I was back in the back and doing my job while everybody else was goofing off. It always made me look good because I was always done with what I needed to be doing, and then by the time, but way before quitting time. So it was like, hey guy, you want to do this? Yeah, I'll do it. So I got to do my favorite jobs. And my favorite jobs were, I really liked this job. It was a cool job. I got to go front and stack kegs in the cooler. They kept all their beer in a huge cooler. All their beer, and it was ice cold up in there, and I was a professional beer tapper. So yes sir. And you know, they said that they wanted to know how I did it, because every time I changed kegs, they never ever had foam on their kegs. And I said, man, it's simple. I said, y'all don't know how to tap a keg? Oh yeah, I know how to tap a keg. I said, no. There's a difference between tapping a keg and tapping a keg. And whenever you tap a keg, the main thing is, for one thing only, your keg is just like a beer can. If you think of it like that, it's a giant beer can. And what do you do when somebody throws you a beer in midair and you have to catch it? Well, the first thing it's going to do is it's going to shake up. What are you going to do before you pop the top on it? I hope you're going to thump the top of it to keep from having it beer fills up on you. Right? Okay, now guess where I'm going with this? I always carry a pocket knife. Always. I've always got a case knife in my pocket. I'll take that case knife and I don't open it. And I'll take tap the top of that keg about 3 or 4 times. And then tap the side of it 2 or 3 times. And sometimes the first cup will have just a little bit of foam in it, but usually it won't. Usually it won't. You won't have all that massive foam and stuff in it, you know. As long as somebody don't grab the keg and shake it around, you know, trying to be an idiot, you know, like you have idiots at parties all the time. Getting down here close to the tail now. Okay, we're going to call that 1. One meal right there. I'm going to put about 4 of these in each pile. And each pile will be a meal. I had 2 extras. Let's put that one there. Put this one here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 meals. For how much did I say? So that's 13 meals for less than $17. 3 pennies less than $17. So that's just a little more than $1 a meal right there for your meat. Now, if it was 2 of you, and you're going to eat 8 pork chops, that would have been 6 meals. But still, you can't complain about that. That's not too terribly high. Now, the way I like to put up meat use freezer paper. Freezer paper lasts longer. I actually took me and my son, I bought this house for my dad. Okay, and we had lived next door in a not in a travel trailer, but in a trailer house next door to them in the last, no, it wasn't the last year, but between, let's see, what years was it? Between 1991 and 2003, I lived next door to my parents in a trailer house. I raised my kids. My oldest son was 12, and my other son was 8 when we moved from here. That's when I went to school in Daytona Beach. And yeah. So, okay, here's the whole story. So in 2009, we moved back here. And the freezer, everything was the same. It had not changed, not one bit. My dad had moved in with my brother, and we were starting the process of me buying this home. So me and my son moved in here. And one night, I asked my son, I said, what do you want for supper? And we went out and, see, we kept, our home, we did not have a deep freeze in our house. We lived 50 steps from my parents. So I was fortunate enough that they kept a deep freeze, and they didn't keep it tremendously full, but I was able to store my meat and fish and stuff in their deep freeze. Well, and we were avid hunters. My sons both had tags. I had tags. I killed at least 2 pigs a year. I killed personally at least 2 bucks a year. And then my sons had tags. And if they did not fill them themselves, I filled them for them. Yes, I did. So you might say that we had 2, 4, 6 deer tags, and we could take all the pork all the pigs we wanted off at deer lease. And so my kids grew up eating wild pork and deer meat and fish that we caught out of the river. I would buy chicken and I would buy staples, and that was it. When I went to the grocery store, I had a $100 bill to spend. Every 2 weeks, I had a $100 bill to spend on groceries, clothing, and anything else that we needed. That was it. I worked for the state of Texas and the highway department, and they starved us to death. And I mean, we had the bare minimums. To buy Christmas, I had to start buying Christmas in July, and it would take me until the 15th of December to pay for it, you know, if we were going to have a decent Christmas. And we always did. We always had good. So groceries was how would you say it? It was like you had to keep your supply stock. And my dad and mom didn't eat deer meat. My dad detested it because that's all he had to eat whenever he was a kid. And my mom, she didn't like cooking it because it stunk. What she said it stunk. Well, she was used to eating does and cooking does. Well, I don't kill does, and I always bleed all the blood out of the deer before I ever before I ever package it. There's no blood in my deer when I package. But that's neither here nor there. I'm glad you guys are still with me listening. So we got this freezer paper. See, it tears easier whenever you got a long piece. You got the waxy side up. Let's go back to my story. In 2009, we moved back in here. So we were gone from 2003 until 2009. We moved back in here. And I asked Sam, I said, what do you want for supper tonight? He said, I don't know. And it was about March, April, somewhere along in there. He says, you know, he says, I ain't had a piece of deer meat in God knows when. And I said, you know, you're right. I said, it's been years since I've had a piece. He'd been out to his pawpaw's house. I mean, they never quit hunting. I had been working in bike shop. I didn't have a deer lease whenever I was working in bike shop because I was always working on Saturdays. That sucked. So I went on and cooked supper that night, and the next day I went out and was rearranging the freezer because I was fixing to go grocery shopping. And while I was in there, I found 3 packages of deer steak. One of them was a backstrap, and the other said ham, and the other said shoulder. I ain't kidding you. It said backstrap, 98. That means I packaged it in 98. Because you'll see here in a minute how I mark my meat. And that is exactly how it is. If I kill it in 98, then it gets packaged. It'll be D for deer, B for back, and S for strap. DBS, deer back strap. And then I'll put the year on it. Always. That's how I do it. Or if it's tame pork, I'll put a T for tame, and then P for pork, and then I'll put the year on it. Well, I can keep up with it. And I seen this DBS 98, and I'm like, 98, this is 2009, that's 11 years ago. Somehow or another it was on the bottom of the deep freeze. And I was like, man, I just wonder. So I pulled it out of there, and it was wrapped in freezer paper. I had wrapped it myself. I carried it in, brought it right in here to this kitchen, right here on this table, right here, and opened it up. I had to run just a little bit of water on it to get it to loosen up off of the way it was put in there. I guess whenever it was all put in there, you know, stacked one on top of the other on top of the other. These were on the very bottom. These packages were on the very bottom. They got mashed together, and they'll kind of get a wrinkle in it or something other, and it'll attach itself to the meat. Well, I pulled it off there, and I looked, and I unwrapped it. And I unwrapped it just like it come unwrapped, because I wanted to inspect it, because I wasn't going to eat something 11 years old. I mean, it's just like, it's going to be frost burnt, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. Let me tell you, and my son will tell you this too, but he is standing right there. There wasn't a drop of blood out of place on that piece of meat. There was no ice on it. There was no dryness in it. I pulled it out of there and thawed it out right here in the sink. And whenever I got through thawing it out, I let it thaw naturally. I didn't soak it in water or nothing. I picked it up and laid it on top of the cutting board. And it was just as pretty and red as it was the day I put it in there. the day I put it in there, it couldn't have been it looked fresh. It looked like I had just brought it in out from underneath that skinny tree and laid it up here. And I started cutting steaks off of it, and I smelled of it, and it smelled good. And I told my son, I said, we'll either catch ptomaine poison tonight and die, or we're gonna eat good. And I sat down there and I made, I chicken fried that backstrap right there, and all on that stove. I chicken fried that backstrap and fixed a bucket of gravy and some real gravy out of it, grease off that deer meat, and made mashed potatoes and green beans and served that up just like that right there, and some pop biscuits. And if you don't know what pop biscuits are, it's some biscuits in the can, 50-cent canned biscuits. They used to be a quarter. And we ate. The alarm clock went off the next morning, and I got out of bed. I didn't feel no different than I did the day before. So I just want to tell you that, because I have put meat up and been like, okay, I'm gonna put it up in Ziploc bags, and I'm just as guilty as the next guy. Just as guilty as the next guy. Ziploc bags are easy. You get them, you put your meat up in a Ziploc bag, you roll it up, get the air out of it, you zip it closed, put it in the freezer. You don't know how many times. Night before last, I pulled a piece of chicken out of there, and it had been in there for 2 years. Been in there since 2020, and it had just a little bit of freezer burn on the skin of the chicken. It didn't hurt the taste of it none. It did not hurt the texture of it none. The skin was a little tough, but other than that, it ate good. But this right here, you watch what I'm fixing to do. Okay, you lay your meat in the corner, just like this right here. Waxy side up. You fold this over, just like so. And roll it one time. Now, fold this over. If you get this from a butcher shop, that's all you're going to get right there. Right there. They're going to tape that right there, and they're going to give it to you. Okay, that's one wrap. That's one wrap. Okay, there's a second wrap on that end. Right there. And tuck it back. Okay, there's the second wrap. That's double protected. 3, 4 times. Okay, that's 4 layers of protection. Now I'm taking a little bit longer. But that's just because, well, for one thing, I haven't done this in a while. But by the time I get done here, I'll be in wide open mode. I can wrap one in 2 minutes. There you go, right there. You take your roll of tape. I had to go to the store and buy some freezer tape. Anytime you see me, and I'm talking about I'm fixing to package up some deer meat or some wild pork. I know this is going to be in the freezer for a long time. A deer will last me a year. I can make a deer last me a year. I don't eat it as much as I used to. You take a small piece of tape, about 1 inch. You take and put it on there. You secure it. There you go. right there. Okay, now this is tame pork. This is 2022. Okay? Ain't nobody else gonna know what that means. But I know what it means. Alright? Now I've got a whole bunch more of this to do. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I got 12 more to do. So I'm gonna tear myself off 12 pieces of paper. I lost count. Same way I'm coming roll. I lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what I thought. And here's the thing. Freezer paper. When is it used the most? During deer season. Do not buy your freezer paper during deer season. One thing, you ain't gonna be able to find it. It's gonna be hard to find. That's always. That's just not now. It's always. Buy your freezer paper during the spring, and you can usually get it a little cheaper. You can find it. Buy 3 rolls. 3 of the biggest 150-foot rolls you can buy. Buy you a couple rolls of tape. Keep it. Put it up. It'll last forever. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I need one more. All of them, wax the side up. All of them's ready. I do need to get me one of those tape dispensers. That's what I need. I need me a tape dispenser. I've got a paper dispenser over there. It's an antique paper dispenser. Come out of a butcher shop somewhere. And, okay, I'm just going to stack that up. I don't need to label it until I get ready to take it out. Plus, you're getting all this paper up in here that's filthy every time. That's split 2 layers every time you do that. Don't be stingy with that paper. Don't, because it means everything's going to protect your food. You don't want any air in it either. You want it tight. I used to watch my grandpa wrap meat. I'd sit over in the corner on the stool and I'd watch him. He served many people at that butcher shop. It was my uncle's grocery store. So he hired my grandpa, and my grandpa was in there and worked for him. And I don't have any days a week. I had a bicycle out there, and I got ready to go somewhere. I went, whether it was all the way to town to the bank to get some candy, to the store to get some candy, to Pat's butcher shop. I would go see Pat. I tell my mama where I was going. Going to town, mama. And she knew where to start looking for me. I'm gonna go hunt some bottles, mom. That usually was the first thing I did in one time was go hunt bottles. And I would leave here. I had 2 6-pack containers, paper 6-pack containers, soda water containers, and I'd go ride around the 2 mile loop and looking for Coke bottles. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't go to the store until I had both 6-pack containers full. Didn't matter if I rode all morning, all day, or 50 feet. Wasn't going to the store until I got that bag. Until I got that bottle. Oh, that's every day. Back in them days, you could literally buy 2 Cokes, 2 Snickers bars, and at least, I can't remember, at least 1 package of baseball cards for $1.20. And that's how much. Each Coke bottle will give you a dime. Each Coke bottle will give you a dime. So 12 Coke bottles, $1.20. And there's a many days I stopped at my friend's house on the way to the store and say, hey man, you go to the store with me? And I bought many a friend soda water and candy bars. And never even thought anything of it because of the simple fact that it's free money to me. Kids that get out of school, high school kids get out of school, the only way you could really buy soda water back then was in a can or in a bottle, and they were cheaper in a bottle. And the bottles had to be returned for cleaning and refilling. Yeah. Well, that's the ultimate green economy. That was it. I can't remember how many rolls of freezer paper it takes to do a deer. I think one will do a deer. I usually buy at least 2 rolls so I don't run out. But I also, like you see, I don't skimp on freezer paper. And that's why. Whenever I was young, it was more like, I used a lot of freezer paper. People say, oh, you use a lot of freezer paper. Well, that's just, I'm sorry. But after finding that deer meat in the freezer and eating it like I did, it was 11 years old. Yeah. I believe I'll just keep using a lot of freezer paper. And you gotta think about it. How many times electricity go off in that 11-year period of time? But as long as you don't open a freezer, it's gonna keep its cold. You don't open it. I mean, during hurricane season, when we get hit by a hurricane, we only run our deep freeze on the generator for about 2 hours a day just to make sure that it stays frozen. Yeah. You just don't open it. You don't go inside, you don't open it. And kids, you want to go open the refrigerator stand inside? Oh my God, I'll kick their ass. I say that. Yeah. Break them within an inch of their life. We grew up different. We grew up in the country. I was raised by parents. My daddy was 40 years old when I was born. He was born in 1930. Do you tell me that man didn't know how to live? We gardened. We hunted and fished. If we wanted it, that's how we got it. We either grew it or we either made it or we grew it or eat it. And we had a nice home. My daddy was a television repairman. We had a nice home. We had good vehicles. But other than that, if you wanted something, if you wanted a baseball glove, you better go get your job and make the money for yourself. Christmas come along, we had Christmas. But mostly it was clothes, stuff you needed. Daddy always got socks and a tie. And up until I was, 22 years old, 23 years old, we had a grocery store here in town. And you walk up there, and the meat department was up in behind a glass case. And if you wanted a steak, you said, I want that steak right there. And they would put a steak up on the scale and weigh it. Use an ad machine to figure out how much it costs. Then they wrap it in butcher paper, just like this right here, with a price tag on it, and hand it over the counter to you. There's no prepackaged, nothing. That's what's wrong with our world today. That grocery store always had at least 2 checkers in it, 2 or 3 people stocking it all at one time, a manager, and 2 butchers working at the same time. And I bet you there ain't half that many people working in the grocery store down there in town now. The one that they had, the Brookshire Brothers. Brookshire Brothers put a store here and came in here and put those stores out of business. Put that Ball and Paul store out of business. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 meals for less than $17. I'm tickled. I'm okay. I'm okay with it. I've seen it a lot cheaper. Now we got 2 pigs that my son is fattening up out on the farm that he lives on. He lives way out in the woods. And I am praying that we get those 2 pigs raised and fattened up by the end of February. And we end up with freezers full of meat. I'll say freezers. That's his freezer and my freezer because we got 2. They are some hamp pigs. You might see some video of them soon. So let me tell you a little something. The rapture is coming. But he says that you'll not know the day or the hour of my coming. So until that moment, you prepare for the worst. Always stay prepared for the worst. And remember that